Good morning, traders. This is Barry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, April 14th. Tomorrow is tax day. Can you believe it already? This year is just flying by. So, before we get into the technical analysis, let's just go take a look at the week ahead of what's really the main scheduled catalyst. As we know, there'll be unscheduled catalysts that appear, right? So we're going to have retail sales Wednesday at 8:30. Then we're going to have the VIX expiration at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, followed by Jerome Powell on a hot mic at 1:30 on Wednesday afternoon. And then Thursday is going to be OPEX for the month because the market is closed on Friday. There is no future session whatsoever on Friday this week. And then to boot, Thursday after the bell, right before the market closes for the week, somewhere between 4 and 4:30, Netflix is going to come out with their earnings, and then the market's going to close at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and that's going to be it for the week. So a lot happening at the on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Uh, Looking at Friday's session, the Qs basically traded between 435 and 455. The SPY basically traded between 515 and 535, and the cash market basically traded between 52.25 and 53.75. Excuse me. And then as we look at basically the structure that we have left, we had some single prints on the Dow and a split on the ES, and that was it really for structure notes on Friday session. Looking at positioning real quick, for the week, there's really nothing that stands out to be honest with you. If we're able to get above 56.50, you can see we'd be above those strikes, and we might, get some stuff going. That would be around 200 points, 200, 225 points on the ES higher than we're trading now. That's just like happens within a day session anymore, right? And when for today, you can see 5300's got some gamma. We closed at almost 5400 or 5363 last week, and we're up about 80, 90 points. So we'd be opening right now right around 5450 if we were to open right now. And you can see, so 5400 should be some support potentially going backwards, and then you'd have to get a rising VIX to go under that, and then 5500. So there's a high possibility that 5450 is going to be your flip point on the cash market, with just going down to 5400 and up to 55, potentially even up to 5525 today. Would be how positioning is laid out. Those are your major markers. Looking at the SPY closed at 534 on Friday. It's currently trading 543. Uh, so as we look at, you can see 540 to 550. That's that same basic 100-point range that we're looking at right now. And then, we could go from there for the week. And then for today, you can see, potentially getting back down to 520. That would be a huge fall from where we are right now. Not to say that it's not possible, but the VIX would be needing to one time frame up pretty seriously to do that. Uh, the Qs traded or closed on Friday at basically 454.40. They're trading 463. So they're up almost $9 at this point in the session. So 463 is where we're at right now. And as we look at that, you can see 460 should be your floor. That would be about 120 points, 135 points maybe under where the NQ is currently trading. And then hold on while I adjust my position here. Uh, excuse me. All right, back to it. And then as we look at really, for the day, 450 would be your major fall, and that would be about 800 points under that. So in other words, 1,000 points down. If the VIX keeps one time framing down, uh, right, we could potentially just get some charm today and maybe even hit 465. I wouldn't put too much weight in it after that, and that's only going to be uh, about 60, 65 points higher than we're currently trading on the NASDAQ. So you got to watch that, and that's going to be potentially right around where that overnight high is. So watch that overnight high as your marker. That's right where this 465 basically is for today, and then we'll have to see. And you can see above for the week. It's just these, we're trading $5 strikes like we used to trade $1 strikes. Each one of these strikes is 410 to 420 points away from each other. Um, I'm sorry, 205 to 210 points away from each other on these $5 strikes, and 410 to 420 on the $10 strikes. So I think we beat up positioning for today. We'll get a better look at that again tomorrow and see. But keep in mind, with the VIX expiring Wednesday morning and Powell on Wednesday afternoon, there is potential for what's left of this VIX contract with every pullback that we get, if there's no major tariff news, right? Uh, my guess is institutions sell the VIX going into Wednesday on balance, and then the reset Wednesday with Powell on the mic Wednesday afternoon, and then short week and all that hoopla. So we'll have to see, but we basically could have some charm coming in, which puts a little bit of bid and a floor on the market going into Wednesday. So for today and tomorrow, potentially don't get too over the top with to the downside between on Monday and Tuesday's session, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. You know, I think that that's where the harder money will be made. Uh, Other than I think we'll have our two-sided market for trading, right? But if you want to really look at where we're going to end up for each day, we should end up slightly higher for Monday and Tuesday on balance from Friday's close, which we already are, right? We're already up 2% from Friday on the Nasdaq, 1.75 on the ES. So we'll see how much of a retracement lower we can get today. So with all that said, Friday's point of control is 53.92. We're currently trading, you know. 80 points, basically 85 points above Friday's point of control. And then we're really wanting to see, right, the Bears get in serious trouble with a get for us getting back above 5,500, which we're only 22 points away from getting back over 5,500, and then you would be also right around the high of this April 9th candle uh, that is 55.20. So that is your spark that the what you're really looking at. And if we look at just one time frame imbalance, this does not have this overnight session on that we're looking at, but 19,372 half is your split. Uh, so that was the high from this candle on Wednesday, I believe it was. And then as we come back up, the balance high, right? If we trade back up to balance high, that's going to be almost at 20,000. It's going to be about 20 points under 20,000 at 19,983 half. And then as we look at the ES, very similar, 5560 is what you're looking at here, and we're currently at that would only be about another 80 points higher than we're trading right now to get there. So I would think we're going to get a little bit of an exhaustion at that point in time. And not that we're going to roll over steeply from there, but it might take some more power. So that's going to be your bogey line. And then the balance high is 57.61 half is really what you're looking at. Overnight action, 73.5 points for the ES that have actually traded in ticks, even though we are uh, up 90 points, only 73 of those points have traded so far. And then as we look at really, we've got actual, can you believe it? We got some value areas from Friday's session. We were able to actually calculate them, and they were worth putting on the chart. So watch the point of control value area high and all that. It's going to be right around the settlements for both the NASDAQ and the ES. So you don't have to, if you're not loading these grids, you don't have to watch too much. You're really just watching the unchanged mark. And just because we're up 400 points, I mean, you have to remember we had almost 2,500 point ranges last week. For those of you, when I load this sheet, I spoon feed a lot of stuff just because I like to look at it on my phone over the night. But when I load that level sheet, you can open it up yourself. Of course, there is a lot of information on here, but one of the things that you can go down to, and I usually post it in the room, is this 10-day range analysis for both the ES and the NASDAQ. So you can see that for the session, we had a session last week, or within the last 2 weeks, but it was last week, that had 2,652 points in that session. And if you look at the bell to bell between the bells, we had almost a 22-point session one day. So I guess what I'm saying, and if you even look at Friday's session, between the bells, we had 603 points, which is a little bit more normal, 800 for the session, but 603 between the bells. And then, of course, you've got down below the 5-day change, the 10-day change. You can look at the difference in these indexes. And like I said, there's a lot of information on here. What I think are noteworthy or things to be aware of on the news. I don't put everything on the news. I put a lot of it in there. And then the Fed watch, of course, and your bias. So we are kind of neutral bias at this point in time. But what I'm saying with all that long-winded explanation, going back and looking at a 10-day range analysis, the 400 points is diddly squat. It would be very easy in these market conditions to trade it. I'm not saying you short it because it's gonna trade. I'm just saying don't feel too cocky because we're up 400 points that we can't get this. We could easily even take out Friday's low if that's in the cards. But at least we have some value areas. We have some unchanged and the points of control to look at for the first time in a while. And I should be able to give you basically all four of the indexes for the overnight range. If I can only give you three of them, I'm going to leave out the Russell. I'm going to give you the Nasdaq, the ES, and the Dow. I only have basically 5,000 ticks that I can calculate on with my cheap software, which is usually that I coded myself, that is usually adequate to display all the information. And then if we're trading more than 5,000 ticks between these indexes, it's usually not worth really noting anything but structure. So as I leave you with this, I gave you a lot to think about. If you're just looking, want some cheap references, this next resistance up above that's major should be 19,500, a little bit under it at 491 quarter. For the ES, you're looking at 55.25, a little bit under it at 55.24 half. And then, ES, you can see it's basically holding this 54.55, and it's probably more like 54.50 that it based on. So that's your flip point there. And then Nasdaq really doesn't have any. I mean, you can look at the bodies of these overnight candles and use it as an area for if we're going to get a stop run to the downsides. That's what should be taken out because there should be a lot of Tom, Dick, and Harry's that have their stops right under these. Basically 19,060 for the Nasdaq and this 54.50 for the ES. That's where everyone and their brother that's long should have their stops. And then, of course, bears just getting, pummeled overnight. And if you look at it, basically this first 30-minute candle, and I think it might even been a 5-minute candle. You'd have to go back and look, but let's just call it the first 30-minute candle for the sake of argument. You've got basically the majority of all the trading has just been within that during this overnight session so far. The ES is actually trying to probe a little bit higher than that, but the NASDAQ basically probed under it and then you rejected it and then has just been backing and filling ever since. So again, watch the pullbacks, and it's always smart to, if you have Jack's day frame indicator, put that on the VIX, right? The /VX. That is a great read for this market. I'll bring it over and show you. But that is, I think, one of the finest indicators Jack ever had me build. So as we look at this session, right, that starts here at these dotted lines, you can see for the where the VIX is just down, right? So if on any retracement, back down for the ES, the VIX should be retracing higher. When it gets to this green line, you really want to watch. And if you are short and holding shorts, you probably want to think about covering close to this green line, uh, if it so indeed can even get there. But that would be uh, your bogey line, and then you want to see if it'll flip back long at that spot, if that midline, lower mid as we call it, holds or not. And if it doesn't hold, you could go all the way up to the blue line, right? So watch this, / VX with that day frame indicator. It is a great read the last month in this down cycle. And I'm going to leave you with that. You guys have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at. He's going to come on the mic at 10:30, and then we'll see what he's got. And I will talk to you tomorrow.